the notorious Russian mercenary group, the Wagner Group. In this video, we're going to talk about the Wagner Group, a Russian paramilitary organization directly tied to Vladimir Putin. The origins. Most of you interested in private mercenary organizations have heard of Akademi, ex-Blackwater, Defion International, etc. But why is the Wagner Group not that well known? Well, the Wagner Group doesn't technically exist as a paramilitary organization. They aren't allowed in Russia. But why do they use Russian vehicles, equipment, and even hospitals? It all starts with Dmitry Valerievich Utkin, who was a lieutenant colonel in the Russian Special Forces. He is a veteran of both Chechen wars and served in the Russian Armed Forces until 2013, when he became a member of the Spetsnaz unit. Reaching the rank of lieutenant colonel, later that year he quit the service and joined the Moran security group. He was a member of the Slavonic Corps, and thus had a lot of expert mercenaries on speed dial. The Slavonic Corps were registered in Hong Kong by two employees of the private security company Moran Security Group. In the spring of 2013, job ads by a Hong Kong-based company emerged on various Russian military-related websites. The ads promised $5,000 per month for guard duties protecting Syrian energy facilities. The ads attracted the attention of former members of OMON, SOBR, VDV and Spetsnaz. Operatives of the Slavonic Corps were deployed to Syria in 2013. Their mission was to assist Syrian forces in recapturing oil facilities from Islamic militants. However, several problems kept them from fully completing their task. The key problem was that the Slavonic Corps relied on the Syrian government for logistics, and instead of the promised modern weapons, they received outdated weaponry in insufficient numbers. The first combat mission in Syria ended with a bitter defeat. Survivors were transported back to Russia, and the company was disbanded. As soon as the Slavonic Corps disappeared, the Wagner Group took their place. Utkin and several more ex-veterans were seen in Crimea and Donbass in 2014 during the Russo-Ukrainian War. Allegedly, Utkin is a neo-Nazi, and thus called his private military organization after Hitler's favorite composer, Richard Wagner. But how does a military organization consisting of Russian ex-militia that doesn't exist get its funding? Believe it or not, Putin's chef. Yes, you heard it correctly. Vladimir Putin's close friend, his private chef and prominent Russian oligarch, Yevgeny Viktorovich Prigozhin. Because Russia doesn't allow private military organizations, the Wagner Group is registered in Argentina as an umbrella company over which Prigozhin pays mercenaries. Wherever Wagner goes, Prigozhin profits. The Russian government gets their dirty work done, and Putin is cleared of any suspicion. Since mercenary organizations are illegal in Russia, you cannot blame them for something that a non-existent group registered in Argentina has done. They also wear unmarked green uniforms, and their faces are completely covered, so it cannot possibly be that they are acting under Putin, right? Wagner contractors have been described as ghost soldiers due to the Russian Duma not officially acknowledging them. Recruiting and training. The company trains potential recruits at a Russian military facility, Molkino. The barracks are not officially linked to the Russian government, with court documents describing them as a children's vacation camp. According to a report published by Russian monthly media, the organization that hired personnel for Wagner did not have a permanent name and had a legal address near Moscow. The company only accepts recruits if a 10-year non-disclosure agreement is established, and in case of a breach of confidentiality, the company reserves the right to terminate the employee's contract without paying a fee. When recruits arrive at the training camp, they are no longer allowed to use any form of social media or communication over the internet. They are not allowed to post photos, texts, or any other information on the internet that was obtained during their training. They are also not allowed to disclose their location to anyone, whether they are in Russia or another country. Passports and other documents are surrendered, and in return, company employees receive a nameless dog tag with a personal number. In late 2019, the Wagner Code of Honor was revealed, which lists 10 commandments for Wagner soldiers to follow. They include mainly protecting the interests of Russia, always and everywhere, valuing the honor of a Russian soldier to fight not for money, but for the principle of winning, always and everywhere. The Serb Unit. Wagner is believed to have a Serb unit under the command of Davor Savijic, who was a member of the Arkhan's Tigers and JSO. Savijic was reportedly only 3 days in the Luhansk region when a BTR armored personnel carrier fired at his checkpoint. After this, he went to a Russian hospital for recovery. One member of the Serbian unit was killed in Syria, and some lost their lives in Ukraine, revealing their tracks. The Rusic Unit. The Wagner Group includes a contingent known as Rusic, a sabotage and assault reconnaissance group which has been fighting as part of the Russian forces in Ukraine. Rusic is described as a neo-Nazi unit, and its logo features a Slavic swastika. The group was founded on Utkin's orders by Alexei Milchakov and Jan Petrovsky in the summer of 2014 after they graduated from the training program. In December 2021, New Lines magazine analyzed data about 4,000 Wagner members who had been identified by researchers at the Ukrainian Center of Analytics and Security, finding that the average age of a Wagner contractor is 40 years old. Wagner actions. During their stay in Crimea, they didn't take part in any action because a lot of Crimean citizens are Russian, but as soon as war broke out in Donbass, 300 men wearing unmarked green uniforms somehow ended up there in case something went wrong. The first time they were deployed in action was when Putin needed help in Syria. For every oil or gas plant reacquired, a Russian company would get a quarter of its profits. That company is also led by Prigozhin, so naturally the Wagner Group was there. The famous story of Hamdi Bautas' return to Syria ends with the Wagner Group capturing him and killing him as a member of ISIS. He wasn't, he only spoke Arabic. After doing unspeakable things to him, one of the mercenaries caught everything on camera. Later it was found that they knew who Hamdi Bauta is, and they were ordered to murder him and film it by Dmitry Utkin, who had a contract with the president of Syria. More so than in Arabic countries, in some African countries, such as the Central African Republic, there are constant wars and coup attempts. Of course, with the Wagner Group present because United Nations armies couldn't help contain constant outbreaks. They helped secure crucial points, trained the CAR military, committed some war crimes in the process, and earned Putin's chef a lot of money in the process. They also caught 3 Russian journalists trying to uncover dirty Wagner deeds to the world. Nobody heard of them ever again. Russia covered their tracks by saying the journalists didn't have a green light to go there and were killed by robbers. Their appearance was mostly felt in CAR, but there were also unmarked green uniform sightings in other African countries such as Libya, Sudan, DR Congo, Mozambique, and many others. Guess where most of the Wagner Group troops were seen in the last year? That's right, Ukraine. With increasing casualties on both sides, the Russian government used the Wagner Group for recruitment. The Russian Defense Ministry had apparently taken control of Wagner's networks and was using its reputation for the recruitment, but the requirements had been reduced. It is also rumored that the Wagner Group has been trying to recruit inmates from Russian prisons because of the lack of recruits. In return for agreeing to fight in Ukraine, the criminals were promised a shortening of their sentence and money. In January 2022, mercenaries were deployed to kill Ukrainian leaders, mainly President Volodymyr Zelensky. They arrived from Africa with Ukrainian passports to visit their families. There was a hit list with bounties set on the largest members of the Ukrainian government, with the biggest one being Zelensky himself. According to reports of the Ukrainian Security Service, Wagner operatives often use passports issued by a special passport desk in Moscow. the Central Migration Office Unit 770-001. This unit issues passports almost exclusively to people linked to Russia's Ministry of Defense. It was the same unit that issued the passports on fake identities of the two perpetrators of the assassination attempt on Sergei Skripal. Moreover, the documented passports of Wagner operatives were issued with sequential numbers, implying they were given out in groups in an organized way, thus indicating that the Russian state not only tolerates but actively supports the operations of Wagner contractors abroad. Later in the invasion, the Wagner Group rebranded itself as Liga to cover its tracks and sent more and more members to Ukraine, mainly focused on the Donbass region. The number kept going up as shady recruits such as inmates joined, and it's unknown how many Wagner members are in Ukraine. Various news companies report different numbers, and somewhere between 800 to 8,000 mercenaries lost their lives during the war in Ukraine. Why would members of the paramilitary organization follow the bounty list? They're all ex-special forces and must have been well paid as soldiers of the state. Actually, the most senior members are paid $2,500 a month, with monthly pay going as low as $667. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, ring that bell so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Till the next time.